Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. You notice that the shelves are empty. I'm moving. Here in 2 weeks I'm moving back to Sacramento. Today is the very first episode of Real Good Books. There's going to be a bit of a theme. It's going to be the summer edition, essentially. Most of these are kind of very hot, dusty books, and you'll see as we go along. The very first book that I have here is The Woman in the Dunes by Kobo Abe from 1991. This is a book about a school teacher who is a amateur entomologist on the side. He likes to study bugs. And to get away from work that has been grinding him down, he goes to the beach to study these very specific kinds of stick bugs that they have at that beach in Japan. Once he gets there, it turns into, he basically falls into a sand pit and he cannot get out, and every single moment of life is you have to dig the sand out from the pit that you are stuck in, or it will overtake you because it's continuously flowing in. It's in everything that you do. It's getting everywhere, every nook and cranny. It takes up every single moment of your life. And the entire thing is this big old allegory metaphor of how work grinds people down and how we don't go after our passions because of the grind of staying alive and doing our obligations is so much that it is like a Sisyphus effort, and it's very, very good. This next book that I have is my very favorite science fiction book of all time. This is Invention of Morel by Christopher Priest, published in 1974. Every single sentence from the very first sentence to the very last sentence of this book will have you tilting your head like a dog who has just seen a magic trick. It is so unique. It is so novel. It is one of the most unique books that I've ever read in my entire life. You are following along this city that is being dragged along tracks across a future Earth, I believe, I think, maybe. There are guilds within the city who go out and lay tracks that the city is pulled forward upon constantly. You have to move forward, because if you don't, horrible things are going to happen to the city, to reality itself, to physics. Gets fucking wonky. Everything is extraordinarily weird and crazy and distorted and uncanny, and once again I'll say it, so completely novel and unique. There is no other book like this. There have been books that have tried to do it since, but up until this point, there was absolutely nothing like this. It's my favorite science fiction book of all time. The next book that we have in our Really Good Books Summer Edition is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, published in 1959. I have never come across a better haunted house story than this. The only haunted house story that I can think that really compares in my mind to this is The Shining by Stephen King, and that is heavily laden with Stephen King's personal praise for this book in particular. For those of you who don't know, it's not like the Netflix, I was going to say documentary, it's not like the Netflix miniseries that came out 7 years ago, 8 years ago at this point. This is a book about researchers and investigators going to a house that everybody already knows is haunted. It is already famously haunted, and they are going to try to prove that it is haunted or not. Similar story to Hell House by Richard Matheson. This is done much, much, much better than that, in my opinion. You're following these people in this house, and they're just living there, investigating and just watching the actions and the activities that go on at this house, looking at the house itself. Because the second you step inside, you notice that geometry is weird. Things open into things where it shouldn't. The dimensions of objects are incorrect in this uncanny, unsettling way, in like an atmospheric, I want to say existential kind of way. It makes you question your own sanity when you're reading this. There really is no crazy jump, gooey monsters or anything. All of the horror is very dry horror, psychological, more so than anything else. The prose is outstanding, just like anything that you would expect from Shirley Jackson. It's like capital L literature. It's beautiful. One of my favorite horror books, one of my favorite books, and absolutely one of my favorite summer reads. Second to last book that we have here is The Gunslinger by Stephen King, 1982. This is the very first book in Dark Tower. Stephen King started writing this when he was 18 years old. Originally, it was published altogether in a book in 1982. What can I even say about this? This was the very first book that I ever read twice. This was the very first Stephen King book that I ever read. You can't see it here. Now, go back into any video previous. This entire shelf here is usually filled front to back, bottom to top, all with Stephen King books. It's my pride and joy, my favorite thing, my fallback, my nostalgia, everything. And so much of it falls down on here. We are following the gunslinger, Roland Deschain of Gilead, as he goes across the desert. The very first line is, "The man in black fled across the desert and the gunslinger followed." The whole thing is this hot pursuit through the desert where the man in black will get to a town before Roland will. He'll leave, and by the time he leaves and Roland gets there, the man in black has poisoned the sentiment of this entire city to where everyone wants to kill him, Roland, when he gets there. And this just happens time and time again to where Roland has to go and fucking kill everybody and just be a crazy ass gunslinger. There's magic. It's Western. There's science fiction. There's weird. Time is breaking. The Dark Tower of this series is the center of all space and time, and the main point of this series is they're trying to go fix that in some way that they can, because it's breaking and every single aspect of reality is fucking up. It's a very early Stephen King book. It's fascinating. It's great. I could talk about it forever. The very last book that we have today on episode 1 of Real Good Books is The Invention of Morel by Adolfo Bioy Cazares. This is from 1940. The Invention of Morel is a very short book. It's a novella. It's 100 pages, give or take about 5 pages or so. It's very short. You could read it in a sitting or two. I liked to chunk it up over a weekend. Our story is following a person who has escaped a prison. We don't really learn what they were imprisoned for, and we don't really learn how they escaped. They've reached some small, desolate island that is close enough to the vicinity of where he left that he's freaking out about being caught the entire time still. While he's here, he spends most of his time in like caves, hiding out, almost dying half the time because the tide comes in and it fills the caves and he almost drowns like twice a day. It's pretty bad. And then he goes and he starts to explore this little island that he's on, and there's this group of people that are there, or are they, or were they, or will they be? Um, he falls in love with this woman who he sees out on the beach every single day. I don't want to really get too much further into all too much of what goes on in it because it's only 100 pages, and really actually figuring out what the hell's going on is the entire point of the book. Needless to say, in the last 20 pages of it, there are some discoveries that are made that and some implications of the plot that I've never seen anywhere else, and that I've never seen done quite so well. This was a personal friend and co-writer, oftentimes, of Borges, and it really shows in the way that the two magical realisms of Borges and Casares almost bounce off of each other in their style. They're so similar, but they're so different, and it's very, very fascinating. Those are my 5 books that I have to recommend for you today, this summer edition. If you have any other very summery books that you think would belong in this list, or that you just want to talk about and that you think are very good, and that you think that I should know about, please leave them in the comments below. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video.